General Niela guides Marcus through the sprawling Silurian capital, a city of living architecture where buildings seem to grow from the jungle floor. His combat suit's cooling system struggles against the planet's intense humidity, while sweat collects uncomfortably beneath his uniform. Meanwhile, Niela moves with effortless grace, her skin shifting subtly from copper to emerald tones as they pass through variously lit areas. "Your species appears most uncomfortable in our environment," she observes, noticing his flushed face. "Perhaps you would prefer to remove those restrictive coverings." Marcus clears his throat. "My physiology requires protection from environmental factors. Humans don't have your adaptive skin." Niela's skin flickers with patterns that the translator interprets as curiosity. "Fascinating. You've developed external means to compensate for biological limitations. We evolved internal solutions instead." They arrive at what appears to be a massive living tree, its interior hollowed into an administrative complex. Inside, Exilarians of all ranks move purposefully through the organically shaped chambers. Marcus notices the males, with their rigid exoskeletons in varying metallic hues, occupy many of the technical stations, while the females with their responsive skin predominate in security and leadership roles. "Your timing is either fortunate or catastrophic," says Niela as they enter a command center. "Our astronomers detected the approaching Kryvax fleet just prior to your arrival. Many suspect you might be their advanced scouts." Earth faces the same threat. Marcus replies, struggling to focus on diplomacy while surrounded by female warriors whose concept of uniform consists only of rank insignia painted directly on their iridescent skin. That's precisely why establishing an alliance is critical. Our species can help each other survive. A male Silurian approaches, his bronze exoskeleton adorned with complex etchings. "I am Science Director Thalen. Our analysis of your transmission data suggests human technology might complement our biological capabilities." However, Chief Strategist Mako remains unconvinced. Marcus follows their gaze to an older female Silurian whose dark purple skin bears elaborate scar-like patterns. She studies him with undisguised suspicion. If he truly represents potential allies, Mako says directly to Niela, ignoring Marcus entirely, he will submit to the sharing of truths. The room falls silent. Niela's skin pulses with what the translator identifies as concern. The ritual would normally be conducted after months of cultural exchange, Niela objects. He cannot possibly understand its significance. Precisely why it must be done now, counters Mako. If he reacts with instinctive honesty rather than diplomatic calculation, we'll know if humans can be trusted. Marcus steps forward. "What does this ritual involve?" "A psychoactive compound derived from native flora," explains Thalen. "It temporarily enhances telepathic receptivity, allowing surface thoughts to be perceived through skin luminescence patterns. For us, it reveals only what we already consciously project. For your species," he hesitates, "we cannot predict the effects." Marcus recognizes the moment for what it is, a test he cannot refuse without confirming their suspicions. The mission parameters hadn't prepared him for anything like this. If he refuses, the alliance might be dead before it begins. If he accepts, he risks exposing not just himself, but potentially sensitive information about Earth's defenses. "When do we start?" he asks, making a decision that will either forge the first true connection between their species or destroy any chance of alliance against the approaching threat. Niela's skin brightens with surprise, and perhaps a flicker of respect. The training arena pulses with activity as Marcus observes a dozen Silurian warriors engaged in combat exercises. 3 days have passed since the sharing of truths ritual, which had left him with lingering headaches and fragmented memories of his skin briefly glowing with his thoughts. The experience had apparently satisfied Mako's demands, if not her suspicions. Their movements seem almost choreographed. Marcus remarks to Nyala as they watch 2 female warriors spar, their skin flashing with tactical information visible only to their species. What appears as choreography is communication, Nyala explains. Our skin patterns transmit intent, creating a battlefield network without spoken words. Your species relies on technology for the same advantage. Marcus activates his combat suit's tactical display. Like this heads-up system, it provides environmental data, threat assessment, and team positioning. Nyala's skin ripples with interest. May I? She gestures to the lightweight neural interface band that connects Marcus to his suit systems. He hesitates before removing it. It's calibrated for human neural patterns, but you might sense something. When Nyala places the band against her temple, her skin immediately erupts in chaotic patterns of light. She removes it quickly, blinking rapidly. Fascinating, she says. Your technology processes information similarly to our biological systems, but with greater precision in some areas, less in others. This creates possibilities. A sharp alarm interrupts them. Science Director Phelan rushes into the arena, his exoskeleton clicking with agitation. The observatories have refined their calculations, he announces. The Kryvax fleet will reach our system in 27 days, not 60 as previously estimated. Nyala's skin darkens. That leaves insufficient time to evacuate even our primary settlements. Earth faces the same accelerated timeline, Marcus realizes, checking the data packet that just arrived through the quantum communicator. They've dispatched additional representatives, but they won't arrive for at least 18 days. Then we work with what we have, Nyala declares. Lieutenant Reed, you will now join elite training cohort immediately. No more observation. Hours later, Marcus finds himself exhausted, bruised, and thoroughly humbled. The Acelarian warriors move within human speed and coordination, their natural abilities far surpassing his enhanced combat suit's capabilities. You rely too heavily on your technology, critiques Tekla, a young warrior who seems particularly eager to highlight his failures. When it compensates for your weaknesses, you never truly overcome them. And you underestimate what technology can achieve, Marcus counters, rising from the ground after being thrown for the 6th time. Your biological advantages evolved over millions of years. Our technologies evolved in decades. Their argument is interrupted when an urgent communication summons them to the command center. Marcus arrives to find a holographic display showing thermal images of something massive moving beneath the jungle floor several kilometers from the capital. Kryvax Advanced Scouts, explains Mako, her purple skin pulsing with alarming intensity. They've been tunneling undetected for days. Impossible, says Thalen. Our seismic sensors would have. They've adapted their technology since our last encounter, Mako interrupts. Which means the main invasion force has studied us extensively. Nyala turns to Marcus. Does Earth have experience with subterranean warfare? Marcus accesses his tactical database. Yes. Urban combat specialists train for subsurface engagements. I served with the 103rd Underground Operations for 3 years. Then it appears you may have something valuable to teach us after all, Nyala says, her skin brightening with renewed interest. How quickly can you prepare our warriors for below-ground combat? That depends, Marcus responds, a plan already forming in his mind. How quickly can your engineers adapt your biological sensing abilities to function in complete darkness? The dense jungle canopy filters sunlight into dappled patterns as Marcus crouches beside Neala and 4 other warriors. Their reconnaissance patrol has tracked unusual energy signatures to this remote sector, where several mysterious structures have appeared over the past week. The material composition matches nothing in our database, whispers Thalen through their communication channel. The science director monitors their progress from base camp, analyzing the data their sensors collect. It appears to be self-repairing on a molecular level. Marcus adjusts his tactical visor, scanning the metallic dome half buried in vegetation. Similar to Kryvak's technology Earth, encountered near Saturn, but more advanced. They're adapting to each world they invade. Tekla, whose green-gold skin now displays camouflage patterns matching the surrounding foliage, points to a narrow opening. Heat signatures inside, at least 7 distinct sources. Marcus checks his weapon, a hybrid design combining Earth plasma technology with Hilarion crystalline focusing components. The joint engineering teams had worked frantically to create equipment leveraging both species' knowledge. We need to capture their communication node intact, Neala reminds them. Destroy everything else. They advance using a formation Marcus developed. Silurian warriors with their superior sensory abilities on the perimeter, human tactical approach directing their movements. The strategy has proven remarkably effective during training exercises. 20 meters from the structure, Tekla freezes. Her skin flashes a warning pattern that requires no translation. Proximity sensors, she mouths silently. Marcus activates his suit's electromagnetic disruptor, a countermeasure designed specifically for Kryvak's security systems. The patrolling sentry drones continue their programmed path, oblivious to the intruders now slipping past their perimeter. Inside the dome, the air tastes metallic. Bioluminescent fungus-like growths provide dim illumination, revealing curved corridors that spiral toward the center. The architecture feels wrong somehow, proportions that create a subtle sense of disorientation. They're reshaping the environment to their physiology, Neala observes, preparing this world for their species. A sharp clicking sound echoes from around the curve ahead. Marcus signals for the team to hold position as he deploys a micro-drone. The tiny device transmits footage of 3 Kryvak scouts, insectoid beings with segmented exoskeletons and multiple compound eyes. They manipulate what appears to be a 3-dimensional map of the region. They've mapped the underground aquifer networks, Marcus realizes. They're planning to poison the water supply. The patrol advances cautiously, but a loose stone shifts under Marcus's boot. The noise, barely perceptible to human ears, brings the Kryvak scouts to immediate alert. Their mandibles click rapidly, not speech, but a form of echolocation that sweeps the corridor. Cover blown, Tekla announces as her skin flares with battle patterns. The ensuing firefight is brief but intense. The Kryvak's weapons fire crystalline projectiles that shatter on impact, releasing caustic compounds. One strikes near Marcus, spraying his armor with smoking residue that begins dissolving the outer layer. Neala moves with astonishing speed, her skin hardening to a protective shell as she intercepts a Kryvak's warrior lunging toward Marcus. Her hand blade, a ceremonial weapon that now serves a deadly practical purpose, severs its primary sensory stalk. Marcus targets the communication array, careful to disable rather than destroy it. As the last Kryvak falls, Tekla's skin displays warning patterns. Deadman switch activated, she shouts. Self-destruct sequence. The Petrol grabs what equipment they can carry and retreats as the structure begins vibrating. They barely clear the perimeter when the dome implodes, leaving nothing but a smouldering crater. They preferred destruction to capture, Nyala observes grimly. But we obtained something valuable nonetheless. She holds up a data crystal recovered from the communication array, their first real intelligence on the approaching invasion fleet. Worth the risk. Marcus agrees, examining a wound where caustic material penetrated his armor. But they now know we're working together. The command center's eastern wall collapses in a shower of debris as Marcus pulls a wounded Silurian technician to safety. The Krevax attack came without warning, a coordinated strike against key infrastructure that has thrown the capital into chaos. Emergency lighting bathes the room in pulsing amber as backup systems struggle online. Primary communications grid is down, reports Thaban, his exoskeleton scratched and dented from falling debris. Auxiliary transmitters are being jammed. We're effectively cut off from our outposts. Nella emerges from a cloud of dust, her skin cycling through rapid patterns that the few remaining functional translators interpret as tactical assessments. They targeted our communication centers first, standard invasion protocol. They're isolating population centers before the main assault, Marcus confirms, checking his combat suit's systems. The blast damaged several sensor arrays, but core functions remain operational. We need to re-establish communications, or each city will fight alone. A thunderous explosion rocks the building again. Through the gaping hole in the wall, Marcus sees Krevax dropships descending on the city center, their segmented hulls reminiscent of massive insect larvae. Ground forces pour from their hatches, warriors larger than the scouts they encountered in the jungle outpost, armed with more sophisticated weapons. The auxiliary transmitter on Radiance Peak could bypass the jamming, Naela says, referring to a mountain overlooking the capital. But the path there is now behind enemy lines. We can make it, Marcus insists, checking his ammunition. Small team moving fast. Nyala selects 4 warriors, including Tekla, whose combat abilities have impressed even Marcus during their training sessions. Tekla knows the mountain passages better than anyone. If there's a path through, she'll find it. They move through service tunnels beneath the city, avoiding the worst of the fighting above. Marcus's tactical display maps their progress against known Krevax positions, identifying a narrow corridor of opportunity. When they emerge 2 kilometers from the city perimeter, the devastation becomes fully apparent. Structures lie in ruins, vegetation burns with chemical fire, and the air carries acrid smoke that burns the lungs. Your suit filters this atmosphere. Tekla asks, noticing Marcus's unimpeded breathing. Environmental hazard protection is standard for human combat units, he explains. Your species seems equally adapted. Our skin filters toxins, she confirms. Another evolutionary advantage of remaining uncovered. They encounter the first Krevax patrol in a narrow ravine. The aliens have established a checkpoint monitoring the approaches to the mountain. Nyla signals for silence, her skin shifting to match the rocky terrain so perfectly she becomes nearly invisible. 6 sentries, whispers a warrior named Kelvin. Heavy weapons emplacement covering the main path. There's another route, Tekla suggests. An old hunting trail. Difficult terrain, but unguarded. The difficult terrain proves to be a nearly vertical rock face. The Axillarians scale it effortlessly, their skin providing natural adhesion. Marcus struggles despite his suit's enhanced strength, finding handholds where he can. Halfway up, disaster strikes. A Kryvax aerial patrol spots them, opening fire with crystalline projectiles that shatter against the cliff face. A fragment strikes Marcus's leg, burning through the armor and into flesh. He loses his grip, falling backward into open air. Nella moves with impossible speed, her arm extending to catch his wrist. For a crucial moment, Marcus dangles above 100-meter drop, held only by the Silurian general's remarkable strength. "This would be easier if you weighed less," she grunts, pulling him to safety. The armor adds 40 kilograms. He acknowledges, applying a medical sealant to his damaged suit and injured leg. "I meant if you were built more efficiently," she corrects, her skin displaying what might be the Silurian equivalent of a smile. "Like us." The moment of connection is broken by another barrage of fire. The Kryvax have called for reinforcements. "We need to reach the summit before they surround the mountain," Tekla urges. "Can you continue, human?" Marcus injects a combat stimulant from his suit's medical system. "Try to keep up," he responds, pushing through the pain as they resume their desperate climb. The newly established Joint Command Center buzzes with activity 2 weeks after what Silurians now call the Skyfall attack. The successful mission to Radiance Peak had restored communications across the planet, allowing their forces to coordinate a counter-offensive that pushed Kryvax troops back to isolated strongholds. It bought them precious time, but everyone knows the main invasion fleet still approaches. Marcus stands before a 3-dimensional tactical display, surrounded by both Silurian commanders and a small contingent of human specialists who arrived 3 days ago. His leg still troubles him, but Silurian healing compounds, combined with his suit's medical system, have accelerated his recovery. The hybrid defensive system is operational in 3 major population centers, he explains, highlighting regions on the holographic map. "We've integrated Earth's electromagnetic disruption technology with Silurian biological sensors. The combination detects Kryvax stealth technologies that neither system could identify alone." Captain Rivera, the ranking officer among the newly arrived humans, looks skeptical. "And we're certain these biological components are reliable. No technology can match the precision of our targeting systems." Nyla's skin patterns flash with subtle irritation that only Marcus recognizes. She has been remarkably patient with the new arrivals and their cultural adjustments. "Perhaps a demonstration would be instructive," she suggests. Lieutenant Reed has developed an effective training exercise. An hour later, in a converted arena, 3 human soldiers in full combat gear face off against 3 Silurian warriors. The objective is simple: capture the opponent's position while defending your own. The humans rely on their advanced technology, tactical displays, motion sensors, and non-lethal stun weapons. The Silurians use only their natural abilities and simple hand weapons. "Begin," announces Thalon, who serves as referee. What follows astonishes the human observers. The Silurians seem to vanish, their skin adapting so perfectly to their surroundings that even the human suit's advanced sensors struggle to track them. When the exercise ends 15 minutes later, all 3 humans have been eliminated, while the Silurian position remains secure. "Impossible," mutters Rivera. "Our systems should have detected their approach." "Your systems are designed to detect what you expect to find," Marcus explains. "The Silurians communicate through skin patterns invisible to our standard sensors. They coordinate attacks without radio signals or digital transmissions that might be intercepted." "And your point is?" asks Rivera. "My point," Marcus says patiently, "is that neither approach alone is sufficient against the Kryvax. They encountered both our species separately and developed countermeasures. Our only advantage is combining what makes us different. That evening, during a rare moment of quiet, Marcus finds Niella in the biological research lab where Thalen oversees development of new hybrid technologies. The other humans will adjust, he assures her. I did eventually. Your adjustment was accelerated by necessity, she replies, her skin displaying thoughtful patterns. And perhaps by the sharing of truth's ritual. It allowed you to experience our perspective directly. Speaking of which, Marcus says hesitantly, there's something I've been meaning to ask. During the ritual, I sensed your thoughts as colours and patterns, but there was one I couldn't interpret. A deep resonance that seemed personal. Niella's skin darkens in what Marcus now recognizes as the Tylerian equivalent of embarrassment. That was private, she acknowledges. Among our kind, such thoughts are shared only with those we trust completely. Before Marcus can respond, an alarm sounds. They rush to the command center where Thalen's expression is grave. Long-range sensors have detected a massive energy surge at the edge of our system, he reports. The main Kryvax fleet has arrived, and it's 3 times larger than our worst estimates. Rivera turns to Marcus. I hope your hybrid systems are ready, Lieutenant. We're about to find out if this alliance works when it really matters. Marcus meets Niella's gaze across the room. It will work, he says with quiet confidence. Because it has to. The command center's atmospheric shields flicker as another orbital bombardment strikes nearby. For 3 days, the Kryvax fleet has pounded Tyleria's defenses from orbit, their energy weapons carving massive scars across the landscape. Only the hybrid defense grid, combining human deflection technology with Solarian living crystal focusing arrays, has prevented total devastation. Eastern Shield Generator is operating at 30% capacity, reports a human technician. It won't survive another direct hit. Redirect power from secondary systems, orders Rivera, who has finally embraced the joint command structure after seeing the effectiveness of their combined technologies. We need those shields until the counterattack launches. Marcus studies the tactical display where Kryvax landing craft descend through the atmosphere. Their assault follows a predictable pattern, bombardment, followed by ground troops to secure strategic positions. What troubles him is the precision of their targeting. They're hitting our hybrid defense nodes first, he observes. Someone's feeding them intelligence. Niella's skin displays patterns of grim calculation. Could they have captured and interrogated our patrols? Possible, Marcus concedes. But this level of precision suggests something more systematic. Thalen approaches with a data tablet, his exoskeleton bearing new scorch marks from a recent laboratory accident. I've analyzed the communication frequencies during attacks. There's a subtle carrier wave embedded in our own transmission channels, almost undetectable, unless you're specifically looking for it. A tracer signal, Marcus realizes. They're tracking our communications. Worse, Thalen corrects. I believe they're accessing our tactical feeds directly. The signal corresponds to flaws in the integration between human and Solarian systems, gaps we hadn't identified. The implications hit Marcus like a physical blow. Every time we activate a hybrid system, we're broadcasting its location. Which is why they've been one step ahead of us, Niella concludes. We need to shut down all integrated systems immediately. That would leave us defenseless, protests Rivera. Not necessarily, Marcus says, an idea forming. What if we use it against them? Feed them false targeting data while we reposition our actual defenses. The plan comes together quickly. While engineer teams work to isolate and eliminate the security vulnerability, they prepare a deception operation. Decoy emitters are positioned to mimic their defensive grid, broadcasting signals the Krivaks expect to find. I'll lead the ground team. Marcus volunteers, checking his combat suit's systems. The recent upgrades incorporate Silurian bioluminescent technology that allows his suit to mimic their skin's camouflage capabilities, not perfectly, but enough to confuse Krivak's sensors. "I'm coming with you," Naella insists, her skin displaying patterns of absolute determination. "The general should remain at command," Rivera objects. "The general," Naella responds firmly, goes where she's most effective. "No one understands the integration of our technologies better than Lieutenant Reed and myself." Hours later, Marcus and Naella lead a mixed strike team through underground passages toward the primary Krivaks landing zone. Their mission: recalibrate the genuine defense grid nodes, while the enemy wastes their firepower on empty decoys. Each warrior, human and Stellarian alike, carries components for the modified system. They emerge into twilight to find the sky ablaze with energy weapons. Krivak's bombardment targets the decoy grid with relentless precision, creating a devastating light show that illuminates the alien troops gathering below. "They've committed their reserves to this sector," whispers Tekla, who insisted on joining the mission despite her recent promotion to squad leader. "If we succeed, their entire assault formation becomes vulnerable." A Krivak's patrol passes dangerously close to their position. Marcus holds perfectly still as Naella's skin shifts to match the surrounding vegetation, extending its camouflage effect to him through their linked systems. The aliens pause, compound eyes scanning, before moving on. "That was too close," Marcus breathes once they've passed. "It worked," Naella observes with quiet amazement, looking at where her skin pattern has partially transferred to his armor. The integration is becoming more complete with each application. "Just like our species," Marcus replies, meeting her gaze with new understanding. The moment is interrupted by Rivera's voice through their secure channel. "Strike team, be advised. Orbital scans detect a Krivak's command vessel approaching your position. Whatever you're going to do, do it fast. You've got less than 15 minutes before you have company." The massive Krivak's mothership dominates the horizon, its segmented hull pulsing with energy as it directs the planetary assault. Marcus and Naella observe from their concealed position amid the ruins of what was once a Xylarian cultural center. Their strike team has successfully recalibrated 6 defense grid nodes, creating a corridor of protection through which their main forces can advance. Final node is inside that structure. Naella indicates a partially collapsed building now serving as a Krivak's forward command post. Her skin displays tactical information that Marcus's modified suit translates into his heads-up display, a perfect synthesis of their technologies that would have seemed impossible weeks ago. "Heavy security," Marcus observes. "At least 30 warriors and automated defense systems. We have 11 minutes before they detect the pattern in our decoy missions." Fallon warns through their secure channel. After that, they'll realize the deception. Marcus studies the Krivak's patrol patterns, noting a vulnerability in their perimeter. There's an approach through their waste disposal system, similar to what we encountered on their outpost. Their physiology makes them less sensitive to certain chemical compounds, Tekla adds. They won't expect anyone to use that route. The infiltration goes smoothly until they reach the central chamber. The final defense node sits amid Krivak's communication equipment, surrounded by their elite warriors, larger specimens with enhanced exoskeletons and multiple weapon appendages. "We need a diversion," Marcus whispers. "I have one," Nayla responds, handing him the recalibration module. "Complete the mission. I'll draw them away." Before he can object, she moves with startling speed into an adjacent corridor. Moments later, alarms blare as she deliberately triggers their security systems. Kryvax warriors rush toward the disturbance, leaving only 2 guards at the defense node. Marcus and Tekla eliminate the remaining guards silently. As he installs the recalibration module, the node's crystalline matrix glows with renewed energy, the final piece in their planetary defense network. "Node active," he reports. "Fallon, initiate the grid." Across the planet, the true defense grid activates simultaneously. The Kryvax, still bombarding decoy positions, find their energy weapons suddenly reflected back at their own ships. Confusion ripples through their fleet as systematic failures cascade through their command structure. But there's no time to celebrate. Niela hasn't returned, Tekla says, her skin displaying patterns of deep concern. They find her cornered in a storage area, fighting desperately against 5 Kryvax elites. Despite her remarkable abilities, she's clearly outmatched. Her skin shows damage patterns, chemical burns from their weapons that have compromised her natural defenses. Marcus doesn't hesitate. His modified combat suit channels power to offensive systems as he enters the fray. The combination of human technical precision and Stylarian adaptive tactics creates a fighting style the Kryvax have never encountered. Within moments, 3 enemies lie dead. The 4th Kryvax catches Marcus with a powerful blow that cracks his armor. Pain flares across his ribs as internal systems struggle to compensate. The final warrior looms over Nyala, weapon poised for a killing strike. Tekla moves between them, her skin hardening into a protective shell that absorbs the deadly energy blast meant for her general. She collapses, skin flickering weakly. Something changes in Marcus, a surge of protective fury that transcends tactical calculation. His suit's systems respond to his elevated neural patterns, channeling emergency reserves into one devastating attack that obliterates the remaining Kryvax warriors. He rushes to Nyala, helping her to Tekla's side. "Can she survive this?" he asks urgently. Only with immediate medical attention, Nyala replies, her own skin displaying patterns of distress. "We must return to base." As they prepare to extract, Rivera's voice cuts through their comms. "Strike team, be advised. The Kryvax command structure is in disarray. Their ships are withdrawing from orbit. Whatever you did, it worked. They are retreating." Marcus meets Nyala's gaze. "We did it. Together." Together. She agrees, her skin momentarily displaying the same resonant pattern he glimpsed during their shared ritual. "Now help me with Tekla. This victory means nothing if we lose her." 3 months after what historians now call the Battle of Convergence, the newly constructed Alliance headquarters rises from Tyleria's reconstructed capital. Unlike traditional human architecture of rigid lines and uniform materials, or pure Silurian structures of living tissue, the headquarters represents something entirely new, a synthesis of both approaches. Adaptive living walls incorporate technological components, while human engineering principles provide structure to the organic elements. Marcus stands on the observation deck, gazing at the distant mountains where final touches are being applied to the planetary defense grid. His combat suit, once a barrier between himself and this world, has evolved into something more integrated, a hybrid design incorporating Silurian bioluminescent technology that responds to his thoughts, almost like their natural skin. "The Earth delegation arrives tomorrow," Nyala says, joining him at the viewport. Her skin displays patterns of anticipation tinged with concern. "Are you prepared to present our proposal?" "As ready as I'll ever be," he replies. "Convincing Earth's military command to permanently integrate our technologies won't be easy. There are still those who believe we should develop separate defense strategies. As we have similar voices among my people," she acknowledges, "change comes difficultly to both our species." The door slides open as Tekla enters, her movements still careful from her injuries. The medical team, a combination of human doctors and Xylarian healers, had developed revolutionary treatments that saved her life by integrating regenerative technologies from both worlds. "The training cohort is assembled," she announces. Her new role as Chief Integration Officer puts her in charge of teaching combined human-Xylarian combat techniques to new arrivals. "And I brought someone who wished to see you." Fallon follows her into the room, his exoskeleton now bearing ceremonial markings indicating his elevated status as lead scientist of the Alliance Research Division. The quantum communicator has detected anomalous signals from the Centaurus system. He reports without preamble. The pattern matches distress calls we've intercepted from other worlds under Krivak's attack. They're expanding their invasion corridor, Marcus realizes, just as they attempted here. "Which brings us to tomorrow's presentation," Nella says. "Our proposal to create the first joint interstellar peacekeeping force." Marcus nods, feeling the weight of responsibility. What began as an emergency diplomatic mission has evolved into something neither world anticipated, a permanent alliance that might reshape the future of both species. "I received a personal message from Earth Command," he tells them. "They're sending the prototype interstellar vessel tomorrow, the first ship built with combined human and Xylarian technology. They want us to lead the mission to Centaur." "Us?" Tekla asks, her skin displaying surprise patterns. "A joint command," Marcus confirms, "the first of its kind." Later that evening, in the quarters assigned to him, Marcus reviews the mission parameters one final time. A soft chime announces Nyela's arrival. "I've been thinking about what you said when we first met," she says without preamble, "about how uncomfortable you were with our differences." "I was wrong," Marcus admits. "Those differences saved both our worlds." "And might save others," she agrees, her skin displaying the resonant pattern he now recognizes as deep personal connection. "The Alliance Council has approved the mission. We depart in 7 days." Marcus smiles. From cultural misunderstanding to interstellar peacekeeping in less than 6 months. Not bad for a soldier who couldn't look you in the eye when we first met. "Your species adapts quickly," she observes with what he now recognizes as affection. "Almost as quickly as mine." As they finalize plans for humanity's first true interspecies mission, the stars visible through the viewport seem closer somehow, no longer distant points of light, but destinations within reach of what they've built together. "Whatever we find out there," Marcus says, "we'll face it the same way we faced the Krivaks." Together, Nella agrees, the word no longer just a tactical arrangement, but a promise for the future.